The
So
big pharma is a very big pharmaceutical companies. They're getting really hit hard on by the government about how much they're allowed to give, and like if there's alternatives and stuff like
yeah,
that, because like people's lives get changed, which I get at the end of the day. It's a personal choice whether you want to abuse them or not. But if you are taking a prescription medication for pain
yeah,
and that pain isn't going away eventually, it takes 3 days to get physically
yeah,
dependent on something.
right,
You're not only going to hurt for 3 days,
right.
you know? And then,
Well,
like,
and
what happens after that?
right, and to your point, I mean, it's still quite common though for them to get whatever it is, 30 pills, right, 30 days worth, when they maybe only really need 5 or 3.
Exactly. That's why they're cutting down. They're
Right.
making them come in for visits to, like, do, like, a pain scale
Yeah.
and stuff like that, which is good. Instead of just writing off another prescription, and then that's how stuff gets sold,
Yeah. Well, and then I'm sure you
distributed.
know, and I'm sure it happens in Granbury and Toller and everywhere, but one of the things that we do as an organization is do the drug take back thing twice a year to try to get it out of homes because, it sits there
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah.
people either the kids give it to other kids or they get,
Oh, yeah. I've
their
messed
houses
around in my
even get
mom's cabinet
robbed.
before.
Yeah. So
Yep.
you did that too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
sure did. I did everything, and then she started hiding them from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean,
So maybe think about what else you want to say, but I'm curious if I could ask you a question right now about
hmm
what do we talked on the phone about this part, but you had told me that it was probably about 3 years before your parents really had much of a clue that you were even,
yeah.
doing drugs at all. What do what would your advice be to parents with regards to how they could they're not going to be popular, I get that. So
Right.
with their kids, but what could parents do to see things quicker, and to act in a different way?
Yeah, I mean, I did my absolute best to try and hide it from my family. I didn't want, anything. I wanted them to see me the way that they always saw me. Like my mom used to call me her shadow. Like I was
Sure.
always with her.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest of four.
Okay.
I Nobody else in my family has an addiction problem. Like this just wasn't supposed to be me, and that
Right.
that was what I always thought. But now I'm very
Sure.
happy that it is.
Yeah.
Um, but I think just don't ignore it. Like you can't accuse them because that's when they'll start to clam up. That's when I started to clam up because I mean she was accusing me. It was true.
Hmm.
But she started to like call me on my on my crap and say things like that, and I clammed up. Just be like the biggest thing that I just wish I could have talked to her, like and just like had her listen, like be like I'm doing this. Like if your kid or if you suspect that they're doing something, they probably are.
Yeah.
You know your child. You know your child, and they're. I'm not gonna say this like all kids do it or something, but a very big amount of kids do, and that's just the truth. Do just like I would say the normal things, but there will be kids that take it a step further, and if they just make it to where you can talk to them, like
Mm.
don't be like I don't want to say don't be hard on them, but like don't be aggressive with them and like just like lock it down. Like if I find out you this is done, if I find out this is done, if I find out, let me know and we can talk about it because
Right.
they might just need somebody to talk to.
Right. No, that's really good, and I think that you also made a good point about um, you know, I think what I'm hearing is even if a teenager's not doing it, I'm sure that there's a lot of pressure to, or at least the
Absolutely. That's
access
how it
to it
started.
is the access
hmm
is there, right? And
Yeah, the access for sure.
so the obviously the lucky ones are those I would say that somehow or another didn't get into that, but I think you also make a good point, and it's yeah. As a parent, I'll say it's not easy, but I think it's good advice to say, hopefully, to try to be
hmm
approachable, someone that
Yeah,
can be told about
approachable.
it, because I don't know. Well, I don't know any parents. I'm sure I don't know any parents that, to your point, want to hear. In other words, in the sense of somewhat devastating, right? To
It
find
is.
out
It
that
is.
your child is into that.
Yeah.
So
But at the end of the day, it might be devastating to hear that they are into it, but wouldn't you rather be able to be that person for them to feel comfortable talking to it about instead of ignoring it, because then what does ignoring it do? It doesn't
Sure.
get rid
Well,
of the
you're going to
problem.
get even. I would assume you're going to get even more creative or even better at hiding it,
And
right?
that's what
Because
I
if you,
did. I
yeah,
got to be a really good manipulator. I got to be a really good liar. I got to be really good at hiding things. Um, it was a learned behavior. I learned
right,
it from my friends, and I brought it home, and I ended up mastering it.
right,
So my mom and my family, they kind of knew, but not really.
sure,
They had their like, they probably thought I was just out. And me and my mom talked about it not too long ago. She said, I thought you were just out drinking and partying and like staying out all night with your friends drinking, which
right,
I'm not saying is okay, but like, like there's kind of that
sure,
gray area. She's like, I
right,
didn't think you were,
right. Well, if you don't mind, it's a little bit off subject, but since
hmm
you brought it up, another thing that our, that the Hood County Substance Abuse Council is kind of focused on is this concept of social hosting. Have you heard that term before? I'll like briefly explain it, but that's where, in essence, parents are willing to, in essence, allow, a group of kids, in essence, to host a party, right? And so,
Oh, they
uh,
allowed the kids to
yeah,
get.
I'm just curious, you know, well, yeah, that's one of the things that, we're hearing a lot of, right? And I would argue that I'm not saying you're saying to do that, right? I'm just saying that's another hot topic for us because,
hmm
kids end up doing that and obviously drive home and, potentially could have car accidents and all that. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, I
I've,
think,
I mean, I'm sure I've been to one without meaning to,
yeah,
because I mean, there's always been, the mom in the back room,
right.
just like
The
letting us,
cool mom,
the cool mom. We're like, we want to go
whatever.
to your
Yeah,
house,
sure.
but she would always be like, keys, nobody
Yeah,
leaves.
yeah,
And I'm not saying that that is a good thing. I'm not saying that's okay, but in retrospect, kids are gonna do what they want to do, and I'm not endorsing it, but at least they're not driving.
right. I get it. I mean,
And
I think what I'm hearing you say too is we need to at least recognize that
it's a
there's
thing,
a lot of pressure, a lot of things coming at the kids, and
right?
you should at least assume that they're being given the opportunity to do it. So
Yeah.
we need to
Mhm.
be able to
Yeah.
have a line of communication that they're willing to
For
have.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. And just make it to where they're not scared to talk to you. You know.
sure,
I was scared to tell my mom anything because I didn't want to get grounded.
right,
I didn't want the
sure,
backlash. I didn't want my freedom taken away from me. So I thought hiding the bad stuff would be better. Which, looking back now, maybe she just wanted to hear it from me instead of
right,
hearing it from the other parents. Like, hey, your daughter's
right.
she's a little
So
out there.
I'm just going to recap a little bit and
Mhm.
then get you to where you can talk about what else you want to talk about your story. But
Mhm.
if I have kind of collected all this right, you had an initial rehab that you went to,
Right.
right, and that really didn't, you weren't ready.
Nope.
You ended up getting caught, asleep, basically having just taken some drugs. That ends up in another situation where you're in jail. Now, tell me how. So you were there in Hood County jail for a while.
Yeah.
They allowed you to go to the rehab, right? And
Mhm.
did you have to spend any more time, jail time?
Yeah, so that's what I'm
Okay.
fixing to get
Okay.
to.
So we're
Yeah.
getting there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'll just finish it up real quick. That's, just 1 year, but it was
Sure.
pretty, in one place. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a quick
Okay.
story. But my court date, I got out of Serenity December 15th of 2018. Yeah. And so I was starting to do Legacy, the sober living house, and then I got a call saying, "Hey, your court date is January 2nd for this charge."
Mm-hmm.
Like, cool, I'm sober. We're getting 4 years probation. I can do it. Blah blah
Sure.
blah. I was like 62 or 63 days sober.
Yeah.
Um, the day before my court date, and they wanted me to turn myself in before my court date because apparently all the paperwork from whenever I was taking bond UAs didn't get processed, so they thought I was a no call, no show. And
Mm.
I'd been taking my UAs and
Yeah.
sending it like Hood County, like faxing and
Right.
everything.
Right.
Like you just have to turn yourself in to do your assessment and stuff with the person for Hood County just to kind of see if you need to do Safe P or not,
Right.
which is the substance abuse felony punishment program. And I'm like, I don't want to go back to jail. Like,
Right.
I'm not doing that. And they're like, you just have to go in and do a walkthrough, do your assessment, and just fix your warrant because it's not accurate.
Right.
It was literally just because of the paperwork.
Hmm.
I didn't mess up anymore.
Yeah.
Um, which that still never got resolved, but it's whatever. And so I turned myself in January 2nd. I turned myself in January 2nd. Excuse me. My court date was January 8th. So I
Right.
sat there. I went into the back into county after 2 days in the holding cell. And they finally figured out my bond and like figured out a way to get me out. And I was like, just leave me in here until
Yeah.
my court date on the 8th. It's in 2 days.
Right.
There's no point in paying for me to get out again.
Right.
Going back on bond. Like, just leave me in here. Whatever. I'm sober. I can do it.
Right.
And so I sat there. And my court date was January 8th. It was just super embarrassing because I had to walk in my stripes, like
Yeah.
in chained from
Into
my
the
hands.
courtroom.
Yeah, into the courtroom, chained from my hands attached to my feet.
Right.
Like
Wow.
which I get it, whatever. I did do something wrong, but like I was doing good then, you
Yeah.
know? And just kind of sucked to like get brought back down a level
Sure.
after I felt like I was on top
Right.
of the world doing good and sober living in Abilene. And like I was supposed to go to work on the 10th in
Right.
Abilene.
Yeah.
I had got a job set up. But he was like, "You're gonna get 4 years probation." I'm like, "Okay, cool, great. You know, like, can I get out of here now? Y'all gonna like take these off?"
Yeah.
And they said, and at the very bottom, Miss Gilbreth will also attend a substance abuse felony punishment program facility and remain in custody until she pulls chain. Like,
Wow.
what are you talking about? You know. I found out the day before from my lawyer that this is what the deal that he made with the attorney.
He
And
had
I'm
not
like,
told you about it?
Wow.
Wow.
No, I thought I was gonna get off free because I went to rehab.
Yeah.
Kind of made the decision that that's what was best for me, which looking back now, if I wouldn't have gotten locked up as long as I did, I don't think I could credit anything to how long
Yeah.
I've been sober now.
Right.
Because I was 2 months sober. It was a really
Sure.
weird time.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to
In the
know.
grand scheme of things, for a lot of people, that's not very long, is it? In other words, I'm sure a lot of relapses happen, you know.
I would not change a thing.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for myself for what happened. It was the best thing that ever
Sure.
happened to me,
Yeah.
for sure. But I was so mad at the time.
I'm
I
sure.
prayed to God for patience, and I got safety.
Yeah.
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 And so I sat in there from the 8th to the 28th in county because they signed my papers. I was on deferred adjudication probation for 4 years, but I would also attend the substance abuse felony punishment program, which is a 9-month facility because I broke my finger the day before I went into county.
No, no.
Would have been a 6-month program, but I broke my finger saving dogs off the highway.
Uh,
So I had to go to a special needs unit, and that's another 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't take medication or anything like that. Special needs is just like if you're on depression medication, if you need some extra counseling, or if you need extra medical assistance, they have an infirmary for like wrapping and doing stuff like that.
Right.
My finger was already healed before I even got there
Uh,
in county, but
yeah.
I was mad.
Wow.
And so I pulled chain to TDC January 28th of 2019 because this was going into the next year.
Right.
And I got there, was awake all day, went through the whole Woodman unit and had to do the intake paperwork, you know, the very dehumanizing, moralizing stuff. Finally got over to Hackberry, where I did my 9.5 months. And that place changed my life. I sat down, I basically sat in timeout. I worked while I was in there. It was just like normal prison. You had your job, you had what you had to do, you had your bunk, you had everything.
Did you share or did you have to share your living quarters with someone else?
I shared it with 48 other women.
Oh wow.
We had dorms. When you go to actual TDC, there's no like cells and stuff unless like you're in SEG or something like high. You know, as far as like your ranking goes, if like you're I can't even remember what it's called anymore, but like a dangerous one.
Sure, right.
But I was, low risk.
Right.
Obviously. And so the way that they're set up is like you go into this room and it's just like cubicles. 1 through 48. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there was 3 dorms on Hackberry. And so there was an A side and a B side to each one.
Right.
2 different doors and a picket in the middle so the guard could watch both sides.
Right.
So I was in building 1, side B, bunk 14.
Wow.
So I was 1B14. Well, I was there. That's my name. I wasn't Gilbreth. I was Gilbreth or 1B14.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think anybody ever knew my name. And when people called me Kate when I got out, I was like, what?
Right.
But
had to remember what your first name was.
I know. I went by 1B14 for so long. But I did that and I worked and we did everything exactly how you would do normal prison, just kind of get your time over with. But from 12 to 4 every day, we had groups where you sat in the day room and you
Right.
listened to the counselor talk.
Okay. For like,
And
wow, 4 hours.
4 hours
Yeah.
every day, Monday
Right.
through Friday.
Wow.
But I was working first shift commissary clerk.
Okay.
And so I was getting up. Oh, there goes my ring. I was getting
Uh-oh.
up. My alarm went off at, not my alarm, the guard was my alarm. Gil
Right.
Breath, get up.
Right.
I worked first shift, which is the breakfast shift. I got up at 2:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Breakfast is served before 5, and I got off work at 7.
Wow. Did you
And
like go to sleep right at 7?
you can't. You got to do groups at
Oh
12. You
yeah,
can't
that's
sleep during the day.
okay. No, I mean, oh, you mean 7 in the morning. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got off
So
at
you,
7 in the
yeah.
morning, and so I would go back to the dorm. And then since I was, working that first shift, laundry is in the morning for the normal group, but I'm working in the kitchen, so
Right.
I'd get off work and have to like run over to laundry for like the special morning time workers, which is what I was.
Right.
Get back, have my time for the shower, because if I didn't shower in the morning afterwards, you don't get a shower at night.
Right.
Everyone else showers at night.
Right.
So I'd take a shower, and then I'd go back to my bunk and try and sneak some coffee, and then
Right.
we go to lunch at 11, and then group is at 12, and I was just tired. You can't go to
Right.
bed until after groups are over.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
You can't go to bed until, we have dinner at 5:30. You get back, and we have groups just between us, like pure ran,
Right.
from 6:30 to 7, and then after 7, you can crash, and I crashed.
Right.
7 to
Sure.
2, I was dead,
Yeah. Of course.
But I did my time, and from January 28th to, I was supposed to get out, October 15th. Like, you pull a couple days early normally,
Right.
right? And they were
Yeah.
like, oh, you're leaving November 5th. I'm
Yeah.
like, why? So I was having to wait on a bed in the halfway house,
Okay.
which is a mandatory part of whenever you get released.
So was it this past November that
It's
you
the one that
got
just
out?
passed,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
I haven't been out very long.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been out for a while, but I went and did that, and I got out November 5th, pulled to the VOA halfway house in Fort Worth, which is a mandatory part of the thing you got to do when you get out, 2 months and a halfway house, 60 days.
Okay.
And I did my time. I worked while I was in there. I have my own car with my name and my title, my insurance.
Right.
So they will allow you to have your car up there, and you can leave your phone in your car. So I
Okay.
worked downtown off 7th Street.
Right.
And I just did my time, did my groups, and I got out.
Sure.
And another really big life decision that I made while I was in there is I was going to stay in Fort Worth. I was just going to come home when I got out.
Yeah.
I was just going to go back to my normal, stagnant water of what I knew.
Right.
And my mom was like, so what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? You want to sign up for sober living? Do you want to do that again? You've been, doing this since 2018. Like, do you want to stop? Do you want to try and get your own place? And I'm
Right.
like, I want to do sober living, but I don't want to do it here.
Yeah.
Because I will go back out again. I've been sober for well over a year at this point.
Yeah.
A year and a couple months.
Too many familiar things.
Yeah. And I know way too much here, and I know
Right.
too many people, and I'm I like coming home for times like this.
Sure.
I'm with my best friend, one of the good ones that dropped me off.
Yeah.
And I'm just around my family and stuff, and then I go back to Austin.
Right. Yeah.
But I had never even so much. I drove through Austin one time as a kid, and my mom woke me up and said, "Look, there's the Capitol," and then I went back to sleep. I'd never been to Austin.
Right.
I didn't know one person that lived there, not one.
Right.
And I said, I want to go to Austin. And she's like, okay, why? Because I don't know anybody. I know
Right.
people in Dallas. I know people in Fort Worth. I know people in Abilene. I know people just about everywhere. Houston, I don't know anybody in Austin. And I
Right.
like the idea of the city.
Sure.
Just like the urbanization of it and
Yeah.
stuff. Just like the direction that they're going. And she was like, okay, that's great, I guess. And so one of the girls I actually went to rehab with the first time, she lives in San Antonio, but she did live in Austin at some point and went to a sober living there. And she's like,
Right.
hey, see, you're doing good. And like, we would talk every now and then. And I'm like, I'm wanting to move to Austin. She said, here's this sober living that I lived in. It's amazing. It's a grad house. They're a little bit more lax on like their rules and stuff, but it is, they do the drug test,
Sure.
all those things, but it's it's a grad house. It's like your final step before getting your own place,
Right. Okay.
It is
Yeah.
sober living, but they don't do like the curfews, or we don't have
Right.
like a democratic community in there where we like can vote people off
Right.
the island, but
Is there a set period of time that you're planning on staying there?
I just signed a year lease.
Oh, okay. Wow,
Yeah,
that's great.
I
So
did.
you'll be there at least a year in this sober living kind
Mhm.
of environment.
Our
Okay.
lease actually started today.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
So we just went in all together. I'll get to that part, but I've lived there since January, and we decided to go ahead and do because the homeowner was ready to rent it out as a normal house, and she's
Mm-hmm.
like, I like y'all being in there,
Right.
but I'm getting old. I've
Neat.
been doing this for 15 years. I'm
Yeah.
done with the sober living.
Right.
If y'all are all down to live together and hold each other accountable, I'd love to have y'all being the ones rent it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was in early July, and she said July 31st we will end the sober living, and we'll put the deposit down for, like, the gas, the electric, and stuff. So
Right.
I just paid for my first month and all of the how we're all splitting everything,
Right.
the deposits for everything, and so that started today.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah,
congratulations on that. So that's
but we just signed a year, so I will
right.
definitely be there. I love the people that I live with,
And you're starting a new job,
and
right?
I started my new job. I
Will you
did.
still be working two jobs, you think, or will
I
that other job be full time?
Um, that job is going to be, I'll be a patient coordinator at a doctor's office in Austin. Super amazing job. A lot of opportunities to grow with that company as well.
That's
Um,
great.
and I'll be working there like, 8 to 5, 8 to
Okay.
5:30. And then I'm a manager at a Palm Beach Tan in Austin, which I am allowed to say. I already asked them.
So
But
go get a tan
yeah, go get a tan in
and if you're in
Austin.
Austin, go get a tan there.
Over in the west, I manage the Westlake
Yeah.
location. I'm the AM over there, so um, but I I think I'm gonna keep on doing just because I do have a manager position.
Sure.
I just don't have it
Will
in
keep you
me.
busy, right?
I love it over
Yeah.
there. I really like my job. It's just financially, Austin's expensive.
Yeah.
I would love to get my foot into that career area. I would like to go back to college one day. Um, but it's a good place to get into, and it's not something that I could just say no to. Like, you don't get
Sure.
an opportunity like that
Yeah.
at that type of doctor's office.
Right.
I
Yeah.
was like,
Well,
yep.
that's great. That's great.
So I'll be working the two jobs, but I've been down in Austin ever since. I'd made another, like, just like one of those quick decisions, like make the right decision for yourself.
Right.
Um, so that one day I decided Austin, and then the next day I decided, okay, I got a hold of the lady that owns the house. I just drove down there, met her, and I just signed the papers.
Right.
And then January 13th, I moved to Austin. And October of this year of 2020, October 25th, I'll have 2 years sober.
That's amazing. That's great
Yeah.
news.
And
That's
so
great.
just been working since then, doing what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
Since then, I'm almost finished with my aftercare. I should already be done, but the counselors are all out due to COVID.
Oh yeah.
So
Aftercare is a part of your sober living thing, you
no,
mean?
it's a
Oh.
part of the release of your substance abuse
Oh,
felony,
okay.
the Safe
Okay.
P. It's a 6 months of classes afterwards, like an outpatient,
Okay.
and we've switched them to Zoom because of COVID.
Sure.
So I just have once a week, Tuesdays, 12 to 2, and I should
Right.
already be done, but my counselor to do my discharge paperwork
Yeah.
isn't in, so I just keep doing it every
Okay.
Tuesday.
Right.
But that's fine. It's
Well,
not a
one
super
one
big deal.
interesting thing about Austin for us too is the naloxone that we actually got came out of a harm reduction,
Clinic.
group down there in Austin.
Okay.
And I'm trying the part that did the sent us the naloxone's called Tony. I'm trying to remember what that stands for. But anyway, so I know there's some progressive things happening down there as well. I think with
Austin
regards
has a
to
huge recovery
yeah,
community.
yeah,
Huge. It's like the biggest recovery community in Texas. They have a big sobriety rally that was supposed to be in August. I don't know if
right,
that's or in September. I don't know if that's a thing right now. But there's just so much to do down there. Like, they'll have big groups of people that are sober. Like, sobriety is not boring.
yeah.
We go zip
Shouldn't be
lining,
right.
rock
Yeah,
climbing, we go cliff jumping. Like,
sure.
there's big groups of us that are sober. We'll go. They will have concerts for like people in recovery, and like we will all just like jam out and do stuff
Right.
like that. Like, it's fun. The people are amazing. Like, we go do so many things. Like, I thought sobriety was going to be like white knuckling, like boring, like I have to
Yeah.
sit at home.
Right.
Man, I can do so much more that I'm sober. Like, y'all can't hang out with me. I'll be on
Yeah.
the boat tearing it up on the
Sure.
wakeboard.
Right. Well, and I'm just that made me think of something I'm sure that might be helpful for those that are watching this. I mean, can
Mm-hmm.
you maybe compare, and I know there's no comparison, but compare and contrast what I got to believe is now a life in essence of freedom versus when you were, you know, when drugs basically ran your life. So I mean, maybe you can
Yeah,
tell people a little bit about,
the difference.
yeah, and I'm sure you're just so happy that you're where you're at
I
now.
really am. I just there's nothing in my life that I mean, I'm always working on myself, but there's no aspect in my life right now that I am uncomfortable with. I mean, with uncomfortability comes growth, but like I am like steadily growing in all directions. Like I have a very good relationship with my family. I've like met somebody new that like we're, like, and they are a very healthy person.
Hmm.
Like I have good friends. I have a good job. I am financially stable. Like due to like even with COVID.
Sure.
Um, if I want something, I can get it. Like if I like I'm good spiritually. Like I'm very sound with myself and I'm centered with myself. I know whenever like what my signs are, when to tell myself no, when to tell myself yes, and like that it's okay to treat myself and like
Right.
do things for myself. But there's nothing in my life that I'm just like, oh, if I could just fix this, my
Right.
life would be good. Like I've accepted my flaws and like of course there's things that like I have to live with, in my past, but like if you hold on to that, you are never going to be happy.
Mm.
The past is
Yeah.
back there for a reason. If you can either, you know, you can grow from it or you can dwell on it. Either way, you're still going to be on it. So,
Sure.
I mean,
Well, we're all a work in progress, right?
right?
Forever. I
I
mean,
know.
so that's just need to be able to. I think what I'm hearing you say is just need to be comfortable with
Just be
imperfection
just be
because,
comfortable. Just love yourself in your own skin
yeah,
because if you don't, nobody else will. If you're not happy with yourself, and it's taken me a long time to get here. I'm still working on it. But
sure,
if you're not happy with yourself, it shows. And people, I mean, it's just like the energy that you radiate.
right, yeah,
Just
that's
just be just try to be the that's what I always like that's my piece of advice that I always give people, like, and I said it earlier, like make little decisions throughout the day so that yourself tomorrow will be happy with what you made, the decisions that you made today.
right,
Like, are you going to be mad at yourself tomorrow for what you did
right,
today? Yes. Okay, then don't do it. Like should
right,
I should I
right,
just go home when I get off work and not get gas because I'm just really tired and I don't want to have to get gas right now. I'm tired. Or should you get gas right now so in the morning whenever you have to go to work you don't have to stop and get gas. You
right,
know, just go
yeah,
get gas right now. You'll be fine. You
right,
don't have anything to do when you get home. Just go to
right,
bed.
yeah,
And I mean, I just do little stuff like that. Should I actually take time and, sweep out the rest of the rooms at work so that the person in the morning doesn't get mad at me?
right,
Probably. Okay, just do it.
yeah,
Clean
yeah,
the filters, clean all the
right,
spray tan off. It's just little decisions. I'm so
right,
much happier with myself. Don't buy that stupid expensive piece of makeup. You don't need it.
right.
You'll be happier tomorrow that you did it.
That's right. Yeah. Well, one of the things that I just want to bring up again because I think it's so important is that again, like what you're doing is if someone's watching this and they're in recovery, I think to try to not obviously do it alone, right? You need to be
Yeah,
around
there's
people that have that are going through what you're going through.
mhm.
Having been through some of the things that you've been through, because
Yeah.
I can't even imagine trying to do that
There's
on your
no
own
there's
because
no
there's so
way.
much that you've gone through.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing that I'm so thankful that I am the way that I am living in the place that I am. I would not, I mean, even coming there since January until now, like, I don't think I would still be where I am without getting to come home and be like, so this is what happened today, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And they point me out when I'm wrong, like, okay, well, so what part did you play in that? Well, were you mean?
Right.
Did you tell her that? Yeah, I
Right.
did. Well, maybe that's why she told you that.
Right. Yeah.
Just like a couple of, it's just, you can't do it by yourself. And I tried to hide it. I didn't want my family to know. I didn't want my close friends to know. I just was like, I can do this by myself. I got this. Like, it's not out of control. Like, tell them what? Tell them that I'm doing, drugs. Why? So they
Right.
can worry. I'm fine.
Yeah.
You will be for a little bit. You will be fine for a
Yeah.
little bit,
Right.
and then you won't be, and then it'll be too late. Just
Yeah.
stop trying to carry it all on your shoulders because there's other people that can take a little bit of that weight off, and then you'll be able to breathe.
Right.
Just ask for help whenever you need it, even if you aren't sure that you want it. Promise you, after you sit here and vent, like even like telling my story right now, I feel a little bit better. And
Sure.
I've told this story a million
Yeah.
times, but
That's great.
just tell somebody how you're feeling. Like that's the best therapy is just talking about it. That's what everyone says. Well, do you want to talk about it?
Right, right.
Yes, talk about it. Even if you think you're wrong, even if you think you're right, just tell somebody.
Sure.
Because even then, you're putting it out into the world. You're putting it out into the universe. You're giving it to God. I mean, whatever your preference is, just talk about it and stop trying to carry it all by yourself.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Kate, and maybe that was, but I'm gonna give you like the last word. I'm guessing we're getting pretty close to. There's a lot more I'm sure that we could talk about, and maybe we'll
Right?
have other opportunities to do
Yeah.
that.
Whenever you want to.
One of the other things I was thinking would be amazing. Even though you live in Austin, maybe we could do like a roundtable discussion where we actually go live on Facebook. I think, or something
I
like
would be
that.
happy with
That would
that.
be really cool. But
Of course.
so
I
yeah,
will be
what?
back.
Maybe just give us some final words, and then we'll wrap it up. But whatever else you would like to
Hmm.
say.
Well, I think just if you're watching this is something you're struggling with, if you're watching this and this is something your kid is struggling with or you're suspecting, just know that you don't have to do it by yourself. This is something that a lot of people struggle with, even if you think that they're not. I had no idea up until here recently that so many of my friends and even some of my family were doing it at the same time that I was. So just talk about it. You're not by yourself. You never will be. There's been people before you, and there will be people after you. And if you can help somebody, then it's all going to be worth it because that's the bigger picture of it. So.
That's great. Well, Kate, thanks so much for
Mhm.
spending. I don't know how long it's been. Almost. Yeah, it's been. Is that 2 hours? Yeah, it's
Mhm.
been 2 hours, and she's come all the way from Austin to spend time with her family. So we're gonna call it a wrap here.
Oh, they're taking a nap. They're
And
fine.
okay, but Kate, thank you so
Of
much for your
course.
time,
Of course.
and let's do it again sometime.
All right.